Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is Crystal and this is Books Forever After, where I sit on the floor and we talk about everything and all things books. So today is a long-awaited video and that is my top 10 books of 2022. So, oh goodness, yes. So let's get started. It has been, so 2022 was a really good year. I discovered a lot of more independent or indie books and fell in love with more contemporary books. I typically love historical romance and fantasy romance, and this opened up me to a whole new world kind of a thing. Alright, so first off, let's just jump right into it. My favorite was What Was Meant to Be by Q.B. Tyler. She was a newly discovered author in 2022 and I just fell in love with her writing and I will read anything she puts out. I think at this point I have read almost all of her backlist except for, I can't remember the name of the book, but it's the stepbrother and stepsister, or adopted brother, sister romance, and I'm a little more hesitant to read that one. But she is a taboo forbidden author queen and I love her. So What Was Meant to Be is a second chance romance, which is like my favorite trope. And it's an age gap, it's forbidden romance as well. This one is following the main characters. Oh gosh, why I am so bad at remembering names and I did not write it down. You know. I read this one more toward the end of the year and I think it was released in August of 2022. This one is following a couple that it's a second chance, so you're following them after a couple of years after they have quote-unquote broke up. He parted ways with her. He is a doctor and he went down to Doctors Without Borders because he was afraid of the repercussions, or he didn't want, it was getting very serious and he kind of battled with wow, I'm really not explaining this well. So this is following a couple where he is the best, not even just your dad's best friend kind of thing, but he's actually a friend of both of the parents, like a family friend. And so it's an age gap, so there's at least, I want to say 20-year difference, 15-20-year difference. And he is a doctor and they had a relationship, I think, for a couple of years, and then they broke up for 2 years when he went down for Doctors Without Borders, and he decided to break it off then. And then 2 years later, he comes back when he finds out that she's engaged and has moved on and engaged. So I love this book. This was definitely a new favorite. And what I really like about Q.B. Tyler as well, especially for this book, is that it is dealt in reality. So the characters have to deal with not only, there is cheating in here as well, but not only with the repercussions of them coming back together and her being engaged and them cheating, coming back together that way, but also the fact of having to reveal to everyone that they were having a relationship. So yes, a lot of angst. So much angst. I love it. So that's why I love second chance romance as well. It's a lot of very emotional and angsty and just love it. 5 stars. Coming in at number 9 is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. I did read, this year I read Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and then A Kingdom of Ash. I think I started reading the Throne of Glass series towards the end of 2022, so probably starting in the summer. I actually, out of all of this series, I think that Heir of Fire is my favorite. and then followed closely by that by Queen of Shadows, and then Empire Storm. So I think those were my top 3. This was still my favorite. I think it's the final installment of the Kingdom of Ash series, and just so good. This is the longest book that I read this year, in 2022, and 980 pages, and it was a ride. It's kind of sad. So it was a ride. I did read ACOTAR. I started with ACOTAR and I read that in 2021. So yeah, definitely love it. Definitely will reread sometime again. But yeah, definitely a new favorite author of mine as well. Coming in at 7 and 8. So number 8, my favorite, was Give Me More by Sarah Kate. And then number 7, Mercy by Sarah Kate. So she really blew up this year. She's an independent author, and I read all of these on KU initially, except for Mercy. I actually joined her ARC team for the Mercy one as well, for the ebook, and I'm really looking forward to the next installment, Highest Bidder, here in March 2023. And hopefully I should receive an ARC for that one as well, but love these so much that I bought them, and I recently just purchased these as well. And I am also loving, I loved Praise as well as the first one, but definitely these were, like, I think two of my faves. So this one is like a Why Choose romance, best friends to lovers as well, so it's an MMF. And then we also have Mercy, which is a reverse age gap dom sub, which I loved. So this whole series, you probably have seen these all around, but this whole series just follows a lot of sex positivity, which is what I think I love about it too. It's not just smut for smut's sake. It's actually got a good plot. The characters' relationships are just believable, and you feel their connection, the angst, and then of course the steamy fun times are great as well, but they're also just, it's actually the steamy fun times is actually part of the plot and things like that. It's actually an integral part of their relationship and things like that. So I just love this. So these books follow either owners in the Salacious Players Club and their relationships with that, and how they establish their different kinks. So Eyes on Me is the second book in the series. This has the voyeur and expeditionist. Then this is I think, and Give Me More, the husband discovers that he likes the, oh gosh, what's the word? When the husband wants to see his wife with others. I forget what the name is called. I think it's called hot wifing or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what it's, or cuckolding. So that, and it evolves to more than just that, into them all three having a relationship. And then it also battles a lot. What I like about this as well is it kind of battles a lot of the homophobia as well, and the internalized homophobia as well with that. And then we have Mercy. This was the most recent one. This actually follows the son from the first one in Praise, and which he is Charlotte's ex in the first one. I think was his Emmett? I think Emmett's the first one. Emmett, it's been a while. I read these so early in 2022, and I just wrote them. So I read this most recently, I think it was in August or so. So yeah. But yeah, so I love this one. This one is also following Maggie, who is one of the owners of the club. And so it's a reverse age gap. So that's where she's discovered that she is a dominant. So it very parallels very well with the first one, because that is also a dom sub, but like a boss secretary kind of part of the BDSM. This follows a similar as well, but it's where the female is the dominant and he is the sub. And so there is a lot of, I want to say, forced in this one, he is also discovered he's a brat and she's a brat tamer, kind of stuff like that. So it was really good. And they actually, what I liked is kind of full circles, the first one is they actually discover each other using the app that the teen first developed in the first one, and it has grown into a club as well. So that is just so good. So yeah, highly recommend reading these. They're coming out. She has been traditionally published, so they're republishing all of these. However, with Highest Bidder and there's Madam that's actually coming out, is they are still going to be publishing in the original cover. So yeah, I just wasn't able to get my hands on the Praise one, so I did recently order it from eBay, so hopefully it comes soon. Alright, so number 6, when I read, I got this out physically from the library. I checked this out from the library. This is from Joanna Shupe, The Bride Goes Rogue. This is number 3 in the Fifth Avenue Rebels, and oh my gosh, I think this is more like opposites attracts as well, and not really enemies to lover, but like hate to love a little bit as well. This follows and forgive me, but I can't remember the names. But this follows a group that it kind of started at a house party from the first book. And what I loved about this one is it was a lot of like, not lessons in seduction, but they are clandestine meetings and stuff like that. So there is a mask French ball type, and it's mask ball, and they kind of have a little like a strange, it kind of plays with that whole stranger having that danger, the mystery stranger encounter, which was great. I felt there's a lot more steam in this one. I think this is probably the steamiest out of all of the Fifth Avenue Rebel series. The most recent one, The Duke Gets Even, was just released. That one wasn't my favorite as much. I read that one a 4 stars, but this one was definitely my favorite of the whole series, and when I read the whole series, so definitely a favorite. Highly recommend. That cover is amazing. That's all I have to say. Number 5, Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. This is also, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but I kind of think everyone knows this book already. But this is a pirate romance. It's a historical romance. And I think it's the most recent historical romance, from my understanding, that has been published. So a lot of it that I've seen being published as a historical romance hasn't been since like probably the 2000s, I'm thinking. But this one is so good. The female character is a pirate captain, and there's so much angst in just the beginning of this is because this is a cheating romance. Finds out that her husband cheated on her, and she just basically runs away and leaves him. And he has been searching the seas for her for 2 years. They meet up, and then all of a sudden, all this angst and the emotions with the relationship with that, he regrets cheating on her, but he just won't tell her who he cheated on with her and everything like that. She ends up being, a lot of hijinks happen. She gets kidnapped. She gets herself kidnapped on purpose to save her crew, as, they had a pirate, what's his name? Like a pirate captain person comes and finds her. And then, you find out that they're into sheets of falling in love with him. And then it kind of makes a very messy love triangle. But everything works out in the end because it turns into they all are together. So it's a lot of angst, but it's also and there's a lot of trauma and a lot of things that happen to the main character. So please check your trigger warnings. But this was such a great book. All the angst, the emotional angst. It's a very dark romance as well, but just so good. So yeah, that's my first book reading by Pam Godwin, and I can't wait to read more. Number 4 is The Enslaved Duet by Jana Darling. I'm specifically enamored. Number 2, that this was the number 2 in this year in the duet. So good. Again, the second book has so much angst. They fall in love in the first one. It's very, very dark. She becomes sold from her into like a mafia, and also kind of, it's very weird. Secret society. She gets sold as a sex slave, but it's also BDSM. It's a very like master slave kind of very dark element to that. Kind of reminds me of that book from like Anne Rice. She first wrote that kind of a relationship. Almost very, just kind of hints of that. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. If you know, you know. But yes, there was just, especially one scene in the rooftop, the angst. That angst was so emotional. So yeah, just so good. Go read it. I'm probably poorly explaining this, but you know, go read it on Goodreads. All right. So now we have 3 more left. Number 3 is Gothicana by Runix. My first book by reading her. My first book that I read by her. This is a Gothic romance, and it's so good. It's a modern Gothic romance. Most of the Gothic romance that I am familiar with is set in the historical. So good. It gave me all the vibes. There's even like an element of like, there's like a mass ball scene as well with some, it gets a little like rowdy kind of a thing, just so, which is like thrown in there near the end, but it's just so good. There is, you know, a murder plot, spooky elements, supernatural vibes, this big school, and you know, the main character, she comes through the school and is introduced with the professor. He plays the piano. I mean, it's just so good. I don't want to give too much away, but I do know that she's also hopefully releasing soon Arcana, which is like a prequel, and that is more of the historical romance set at the same place. So good, highly recommend. Number 2 is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Again, second chance romance. Are you sensing a theme here? This actually follows a divorced couple that have older children, so they're like middle school, high school children, and they are divorced after they kind of experienced a loss of a child, death of a loved one, so there's a lot of grief. The heroine experiences some mental health issues and depression, and this is the story of how they come back together after that. After trying to move on, the husband starts to try to move on and date someone else, and that kind of, those feelings that resurface and that hurt feeling again of him moving on. But they also co-own a restaurant together, and having kids, so they are also part of their lives together. So through that, all of these trials and tribulations, they find their way back to each other. This was so good. It's my first read by this author. It's amazing. And I mean, this cover alone. So I recently just picked this one up as well. So I first read this on First read this as an ARC that was free on NetGalley for like one day only. I grabbed it and it's just loved it. I loved it so much I had to buy a physical copy. So highly recommend. I think it's my favorite cover out of all of them. This is so gorgeous, the foiling, and it's paperback. It's just so good. So definitely want to read more by Kennedy Ryan. So all these authors, my first time reading them, definitely reading more by them. All right, and again, this author is making another appearance, and that is Forget Me Not by QB Tyler. Second chance romance. sensitive theme here. Second chance romance. This is an amnesia romance as well. So he actually is in an accident and he finds out and he discovers that it is 2 years before, or he believes it's 2 years before, right before they get divorced or whatever. And he doesn't remember the fact that he cheated on her. So there is, check your trigger warnings as well, because there is another reason, another one to where they broke up was, you know, grief and things like that, and the battle of like miscarriage and things like that for that. So love this. And I think what I loved about this so much, of course, is Kibi Tyler and her writing. It's just so good. This one I think had to be one of the most emotional ones of hers as well. I think also it's just because he just was like never giving up and always relentlessly pursuing the heroine. And you can just like, not like obsessive, but like he's like, you are like, I don't understand what happened, what I did, but like I'm like so possessive and obsessive about the heroine, but in a way of just like that, I don't know, just like, you know, manly. I don't know. I don't know how to say it, but like he's just like, oh, he's just like so impassioned and things like impassioned, and just loves the heroine. Never would give up for this heroine. So yeah. Sorry, just reminiscing. So yeah, these books will live rent-free in my head. Still think about this one. I still think about it before I let go. It's just so good. Alright, so that is it. It's a little bit of a chaotic top 10, but you know, just bear with me. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Please, I will put some video recommendations and up on here on the screen. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and comment if you would like, and comment down below what you would like to, like, if any of these books were one of your favorites in 2022, and if you haven't read any of them, which one are you looking forward to reading? Alright, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.